you mentioned your book. Wonderful segue. Was just about to get into that. The Harmonious Divorce, a 4-step process to uncoupling. Tell me what inspired the book.
Yeah, so I get a lot of phone calls, from people who are saying, I want to get divorced, or I just can serve with papers. And they immediately are looking to lawyer up, the traditional sense, lawyer up, go to court. And over the years, I would always ask a follow-up question, like, do you know that you have a choice in how you get divorced? And then that usually gets silence. Like, what are you talking about? And so I would then go into a whole thing, explaining to them that they have a choice in how to get divorced and explaining the different ways. And I was doing this over and over and over again. And so I decided, you know what, as much as mediation has been around for so many years, I think it could be close to 40 years at this point, maybe even longer. And so it's been around for so long, but it's still so unknown. It's still so unfamiliar. I think because of the media and court, not just courts, but court shows and TV. I mean, they have Judge Judy and you have Law and Order and all these other programs. It's still such an unknown, like it's still such an unfamiliar. And so I felt that there was a void and people that it needs to be known, like that we just need this information. People don't have the information for whatever the reason is. And so I decided that I was going to write a book and tell people about it, or send them a copy of my book and let them read about it and let them decide for themselves, how do I want my marriage to end? How do I want to say goodbye to my partner of X amount of time? And if it resonates with them and it feels right for them, why not? Why not give it a try? And if it's not right for you, because again, each person who decides or each person who goes through a divorce, they know their circumstances, they know their situation, they know what's fair, and so if it's not right, if they're in a dangerous situation and things like that, and they have to go to court, they have to do it, that, then great, that's there, that's available. Nobody's taking that away. But if people aren't aware that there is you can be nice, you can have a conversation, there can be a discussion, there can be, what you want, what they want, and reach some happy medium that everybody can live with, why not give that a try? So I talk about that in the book.
I love that. And you're right that those are conversations that we have with every client. And I think putting it out there for the rest of us, for the rest of the world that maybe doesn't end up in your office is great. I would love to see people pay less attention to the way divorce is portrayed in the media. And I love that you said that, because I always wonder, where does this perception come from that divorce has to be so ugly and so disrespectful, and people have to be, like you said, just mean to each other, that they can't just be nice and respectful and kind to each other when they're getting a divorce. I don't mean to make it sound like we should all be holding hands and, singing kumbaya. Yeah. But we definitely see the very nasty side of things. And I've always wondered, why do people feel like they need to do that? I don't know what the answer is. I do think what you said, what we see in the media and the way it's portrayed has a lot to do with it. But I would love to see divorce have less of a stigma or no stigma associated with it, so people can feel like when they're not in a situation anymore that's good for them, that they can feel comfortable leaving.
And that brings something up for me, the way that you just said that. And I have this conversation with my mediation clients. So any couple who meets with me, once we reach all of the decisions that they made in their divorce, I then have to have a very unusual conversation with them. I literally have to ask them who's going to be plaintiff and who's going to be the defendant. And they just went through this many hours of discussions where they're cooperating and working together to reach a decision in the outcome of their divorce. And now I'm asking them who's going to be plaintiff and who's going to be defendant, who's going to be against who. And it's a really awkward conversation. I would absolutely love to see that we can make a petition to the court, that this couple is petitioning the court to grant them a divorce, to grant an end to their marriage. The way they applied together to get their marriage license, perhaps they can apply together to end the marriage.
Well, that would work for the people that have a settlement, but I agree with you. You know what? You're right. There is a lot of noise for people around who's plaintiff and who's defendant. I've seen people say, well, I don't want to be the plaintiff, you know, because they feel like it's etched in history forever that they initiated it. Why can't it be like an adoption, you know, in the matter of a divorce between
Yes,
A and B?
absolutely. I think that should be available, that option to be able to file that way together. You know, it just especially for those people who opted to mediate, it definitely would feel better for them to do that, even though from a legal perspective, it doesn't matter who's plaintiff and it doesn't matter who's the defendant. It doesn't make one person wrong or right or better or worse. And they're just as divorced. It's kind of like saying I'm pregnant. You can't be half pregnant. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be pregnant, but you're pregnant. So here you're divorced. Frankly, I use this all the time, this example. I said, when was the last time you asked someone who told you that they're divorced, were you the plaintiff or the defendant?
Yeah.
I've never heard that question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that matters to some people. Maybe I'll have to dig a little deeper when the next time it comes up.
The book, it'll be available on Amazon. I know it'll be available in Kindle and paperback form, and I'm really, really excited about it. We put a lot of effort into it. In fact, we built a separate website dealing with the book. There's a lot of like freebies and things like that we created, like a whole video series, and a former client wrote a chapter for the book, so that's in there. So I'm really, really excited. I feel like there's a lot that can come out of this, and getting the word out there to the public about this other option.
Excellent. Well, I hope I can get a signed copy.
Absolutely. You don't even have to request it.
For when you're famous one day with that name, Sabra Sasson.
Thank you, Christina.
Really, I'm serious. I love that name.